Ah, crap. I have to start this thing with a suggestive tag. Welcome back, everybody, to more Resident Evil. So, a little bit of a confession right now. These next two parts that finish up the series are post-commentary. The reason they are is because, as many of you pointed out, and as I realized when we got near the end, we were not prepared for final boss fight. We weren't. So when I did this clean, to get the additional footage, I just said, you know what, we're going to post-commentate it, and Alex kind of agreed with that, because then I could do a perfect run, and we could get this right. And also to answer the other problem that all of you will either bring up to me or have already brought up, yes, I missed a freaking ink ribbon in the facility. So, yeah, that happened.
That did happen.
We will actually, I believe I do have it still on the footage right now, so you guys will see it. But welcome back, everybody, and it's time for us to finish Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. Specifically the director's cut.
Specifically the director's cut.
Especially this is Jill's story.
Jill's story, yes, and we are still, so we actually have come to a decision regarding Chris's story. Which I'm just going to go ahead and update people right now. It is going to be post-commentary, just because that way I can get through the story a little bit quicker, and we can get to the point a little bit faster. Because here's the thing. While some things are different in Chris's storyline, most of the story is the same. So at that point, you get to see the unique cutscenes that divide Jill from Chris, but at the same time, you don't have to slog through the exact same story elements that are going to happen with both of them. Okay? And already, we've actually had a couple of big revelations, but we've kept off the final ones until now. So you guys will get it in these videos.
So you're just gonna cut out the failure run?
What was that?
Or does that mean you cut out the failure run?
I cut off the failure run, because the bottom line is, there was no way we were going to survive that. And
Still,
frankly, I don't want to recycle it over and over. So
I figured you'd just start over from where we died.
Well, I couldn't, because we didn't have a save point.
I mean in the post-commentary.
Yeah, but I also did want to showcase like the stuff that we did miss in our run of the facility, as well as do it right. Because here's the bottom line. That save was not going to do it at all, Alex. And the bottom line is, because a lot of the healing items that we actually got here, we used. And what you actually need to do to win is you need to save every single one of them. In fact, the majority of your inventory when you get to the final battle is herbs, because you're going to be healing a lot in those fights, and I actually forgot that. I was too much loading down. I was too much doing the later games methodology, which is loading down with weapons. But the older games run more along the lines of you deck out in healing items, and you take maybe one or two really powerful weapons and destroy the end boss. Kind of thing. So right now we are just making our way through the facility, and I've pretty much cut things to where people might remember, like, we just barely had the revelation of Wesker being part of the crew, but we also have restored the power, so we can actually check out a lot of the rooms, including the one that actually has the
ink ribbon.
that actually has the ink ribbon, yes, and collecting up all of the herbs as well as the ammo discs, so that we can also get Chris out of the facility. Because you actually saw in the previous run like how that went. So I'm just going to point this out to people. A lot of the stuff Alex has already seen, Andrea's already seen, but now you guys get to see the ending of it. And actually how the fight is supposed to go. And trust me, we're going to get this took about 2 or 3 runs to get right. And I kind of hodgepodged them together so that we didn't lose ground. But as Andrea can kind of attest, I had some issues with certain enemies, as well as the final boss. Because it's been a while. Again, I want to preface that, people. It's been a while since I played these games. Oh, and there you go. Now, you might also notice I'm not using the Magnum down here. I'm using the grenade launcher. Mainly because we're actually going to use the Magnum upstairs, right, in the final battle. It is probably the most powerful gun in the game, minus the rocket launcher. And you will see why the rocket launcher is powerful when we get there. So here is actually the room that did that have the ink ribbon. But as you can see, we're just basically reloading grenade launcher so we can take care of all of the excess naked zombies in here. Man, I really ought to censor this part, shouldn't I? There's just too much. So here's the facts. We already read that about the T-virus.
The T-virus. It's dangerous.
And somebody actually did ask, why are we reading all the files?
Because it's fun.
Because it's a blind run for Alex and Andrea, and it's lore. So there's the ink ribbon. That tiny little black speck is supposed to be the ink ribbon. And I didn't see it. So, I'm sorry, guys. I suck. But, by the way, here's a passcode output machine for an MO disc. Unfortunately... Oh, yeah, never mind. I actually did bring it in. I'm smart like that.
Passcode 1.
But no, we read that because, like, 80% of the lore of the Resident Evil series is in these files.
Yeah, I like that.
So
that's what I like about this.
I mean, if you really want to go that extra mile, you can go read the books that were eventually written. You can eventually read or see the comics that have been made. But really, before those were made, the one plot device that could tell you all of this was simply going through those files and seeing what actually happened in the mansion. And I'm glad you enjoy them, because if you don't, then yeah, they're kind of boring.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like my favorite way, I think, to gather story in game is learn it through gameplay.
Yeah.
As opposed to just long cutscenes.
And here's the thing, like, one of the things that I've always applauded Resident Evil for as a series is that's still how you get a lot of the lore of where you're at. I mean, Andrea, you can attest to this. Resident Evil 7, 80% of what we learned about our surroundings was in pictures, was in files, was in all of that stuff.
Pretty much, yes.
So, yeah, that has been a formula norm for as long as the series has existed. The only time that I would say it isn't is in the... I don't know about the sequel, but... No, the sequel I've never played, but the PlayStation game called Survivor... But that game didn't have a whole lot of story to begin with. It was basically taking Resident Evil and making it a rail shooter. And a lot of people would look at that and go, well, that's an amazing idea. Not with Survivor. Oh, it was such a bad idea. Because they didn't do it right. And I know a couple of people have actually asked, will you do side games like Survivor? I don't know. Because in a lot of cases, those don't really add too much to the story, and actually they take away, because a lot of that stuff isn't canon anymore. If we were actually going to take on one of the rail shooters, I thought about doing the Umbrella Chronicles, and that was it. And that's mainly because that one's co-op. Yeah, that's another disadvantage of Survivor. It's one player.
Yeah. Bummer.
Well, I mean, there technically was a Japanese arcade machine that was two-player, but that's not what made it to PlayStation. So,
of course not, because all the good stuff's left in Japan.
And Survivor 2 is roughly an adaptation of an existing Resident Evil game, and at that point I would just say, play the original frickin' Resident Evil game, because it's called Code Veronica, and that's more entertaining than that. And then the final one is Umbrella Chronicles, and the only reason I would actually suggest it is, like, we could play co-op. And it actually is kind of fun.
So at some point, if we're gonna do a rail shooter co-op, we gotta play House of the Dead.
We've got to play so many.
Yeah.
I mean, House of the Dead is, like, one of them.
Well, House of the Dead, because we reference it so much.
Yeah, but, like, how can we not do... Because we also reference House of the Dead 2 a lot, too.
Yeah.
So at that point, we got to do that. I would love to do, if I could ever get my hands on it again, do you remember Area 51?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, that was actually a really fun and hammy as crap rail shooter based in Area 51. But I remember it more in the arcades. I actually had a copy of Area 51 on PlayStation.
I was close.
Bye, Mr. Head. Alright. So here is the only save room you get in this entire facility.
dun,
I'm gonna turn things up a little bit because the music is still kind of quiet, but oh well.
Well, it's just because the music is quiet in this
Yeah.
game. Early PlayStation, yo. Didn't have the best sound mix.
Okay, so this is actually one of the points where we transition because, as Andrea is about to attest, because she was actually part of this part of the recording, we had to go and do the power room again, and unfortunately I had to learn how to kill these things without the Magnum. So I had to use the grenade launcher, and obviously that's proved so difficult for me in the past. I don't like the grenade launcher in these games. I like them more in the later games when they feel like actual grenade launchers. They don't just lob things in random directions. Not in random directions, but have really weird angles every time. So, here we go. And also, fun fact, so I actually got it wrong. The creatures we're about to face, I believe in the original recording I told you, Alex, they were zombie cockroaches or zombie bugs.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually zombie chimps.
Oh, wow.
Which makes sense, wouldn't it? If you're gonna test this stuff out, you test it out on monkeys.
Or rats.
Yeah. And we haven't seen a single zombie rat yet.
Which is surprising, of all the things we haven't seen.
Yeah, you'll never see it, actually. Zombie rats have never been a thing in Resident Evil, to my knowledge.
That is so surprising to me.
It is, well, it's surprising to me, too, now that I think about it, but the only thing that comes to mind that actually would be like a zombie rodent... I wouldn't even actually say it was in the Resident Evil series. Like, the only time I've ever seen, like, a zombie rat was in the Parasite Eve series. So,
It just reminds me of a monster from Power Rangers.
yeah, pretty much. But also the other thing that I'm trying to figure out is how did the T-Virus make their arms into swords? So as you can see, Alex, I really suck with the grenade
They
launcher.
look like praying mantis.
Yeah, they really do, don't they?
They're called chimeras, aren't they?
They're called chimeras.
So then they'd be a mix. So it sounds like they'd be a mixed species, because a chimera is usually like a hybrid.
My guess is, and Moore can't confirm this for me, I'm guessing they're early hunters. Because, like, the base is chip. But then I'm guessing, like with the hunters, they probably merged a bunch of things into it and created the hunter. These are just early hunters. But it's okay. We'll come back to this game eventually when we take it on the remake, and they're even more grotesque and nastier in the remake. So. And I want to give a shout out to the people who have been watching this series, because holy crap, we left it to you guys on whether or not we need to do more of the Resident Evil series. You guys have basically answered that question, and thankfully Alex and Andrea are right there with you. So yeah, we'll take on Resident Evil 2. I don't know when, but we'll take it on. We just need to find a place to put it in the schedule, and we'll get right to it.
I guess
But-
everybody wants to see it, huh?
Well, we've gotten questions on, will they do 2? Will they do the remake of 2? Will they do the remake of 1? What side games are you going to take on? In particular, they were worried we were not going to take on Code Veronica, and guys, we have to take on Code Veronica. It is an amazing game, but not the sequel to Survivor based on Code Veronica. We're not taking on that piece of crap. The only thing that I regret about us taking on Code Veronica is we can't take on the original Dreamcast version, which was great. There's a reason Capcom ruled the Dreamcast. Which would have been a nice little nod, because, you know, like, I try to find stuff on Sega whenever I can, and Code Veronica for the longest time was actually exclusive to the Dreamcast. It took years after the Dreamcast had died for it to make its way to PS2 and Xbox. Actually, did it? No, it didn't even make it to Xbox. It went to PS2. So yes, we're gonna take these on. Another one was the... Oh, it's the episodic game, and I'm not thinking of its name right now. Yes, we're taking that one on too, because it's in canon to an extent. We're gonna take it on. Oh, me and Aldo brought it up all the time. and it's not coming to me.
Chris!
Jill? Is that you, Jill?
Oh, Chris, you're alive!
Of course. Damn it, we're in quite a predicament, Jill.
I know, Chris. Anyway, I have to open this room. It doesn't work. Well, Chris, I'll be sure to come back and help you soon. Will you wait here?
Thanks. I'll be waiting here for you.
The correct answer would be no. There's zombies out there, Jill. Although, technically, Chris would be safe. They ain't getting in there. By the way, it was Revelations, is what the other game was called. We'll take that on, too. Because, thankfully, we can play it for PS3 and PS4, whereas originally it was, a 3DS game? Yeah, 3DS game.
Ooh, interesting.
It's like, how did Chris ended up in that situation anyway?
Wesker put him in there.
Muffin Button.
Muffin Button.
That's a better explanation to me now than Waffles.
Waffles.
At the moment. Yeah. Wesker put him in there. Wesker captured him early on and had to do that. In case people haven't had that revelation yet, sorry, we just spoil it for you. But yeah, Wesker's evil. In case you hadn't been able to tell that from all of the different variation games that have had him as a character, and he's evil.
Evil!
Seriously, he's in Marvel vs. Capcom. And he's evil! And that's not even the Wesker you guys know. Like, you guys don't even know the real Wesker. That's okay, because Wesker right now doesn't even know the real Wesker. Have I confused enough people? Cool. That's what I want. Okay, so you can already see we're setting things up for the final battle. We're going to grab all the mixed herbs. We're taking the grenade launcher with acid rounds, because they actually do work better than all of the other rounds together on the final boss. But we're going to stick with the Magnum first. The Magnum does the most damage. And of course, we're going to go ahead and save. It's our last ink ribbon. That's how crazy this is going to be, people. See, I'm glad you like the save room music, because I can honestly say, like, the one thing you'll like about every single game is the save music. It always feels safe.
Yeah.
There's a switch. Will you push it? Yes.
Jill! Jill! You're here too!
Yes, you're here too?
Look,
Yes.
I lost
You're
my
here
way.
too?
Let's get going.
I'm confused. Are you here too, Alex?
No, I'm there.
Are you here too, Andrea?
No, I'm everywhere.
I hope that's not Alex's blood. Alright, we get to take the security elevator. This is the deepest the
Wesker.
facility goes.
You did a fine job, Barry.
Just as I thought.
I think you should stay away from Barry, Jill. I hear that his wife and 2 daughters will be in danger if he doesn't do everything I tell him to.
You are so cruel.
Well, you don't have to worry about anything, because you'll be free from this world very soon, Jill.
Why do you have to destroy stars?
That's Umbrella's intention. This laboratory has been engaging in dangerous experiments, and recently an accident has occurred. Anyway, this disaster cannot be made public.
That's why having stars nosing about is so inconvenient. So you're a slave of Umbrella now, along with these virus monsters.
I think you misunderstand me, Jill. To me, the monsters you mention mean nothing. I'm going to burn all of them together with this entire laboratory. I must complete my mission as ordered by Umbrella. Barry, go up on the ground and wait there.
Barry!
Oh.
Barry's such a fool. He'll be under the control of Umbrella forever.
How come both Umbrella and you can intimidate him by taking his family as hostages?
Umbrella? Well, I intimidated him, but it had nothing to do with Umbrella. I just used him for my personal purposes, though both you and Barry seem to think I was following orders from Umbrella.
So you're planning something else?
If you succeeded in developing the world's most powerful biological weapon, what would you do? What if you were in charge?
You
Sell it
must
to the
stop
Russians.
this now.
You're a brave girl, but if I were you, I wouldn't give up such a big discovery. You guys are idiots. No one understands its real value.
So you're going to steal all the research?
Better yet, I'm going to show you the tyrant.
Wait, Barry's a good
Barry!
guy?
Sorry, Jill.
How is your family?
I was listening to what you and Wesker were talking about. I wish I realized it earlier. I thought it must have something to do with Umbrella, you know. So it's all been masterminded by him.
But it's good that you know that now. Anyway, let's get out of this house first.
Jill,
Yes, what?
do you have any idea what Wesker was going to show you at the back of this place?
Well, he was talking about the world's most powerful biological weapon, called Tyrant or something, I think.
Do you think we could see Tyrant now?
Barry, you're
Why?
so optimistic.
Why would you want to see it?
Barry, you're
It would
so
look bad for
optimistic.
stars if we let such a dangerous creature run loose.
Maybe you're right. Let's go then.
Seriously, this is so quotable. All right, and that's going to do it for this part. So stay tuned in a couple of hours as we end Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Alex, you're so optimistic.